Nicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I got my guy DJ Shuttle in the building. What's good, Shuttle?
We all aboard. Yo, Black is Tom. You know how he does it?
Yes, sir. Oh man, Knicks had a good win last night.
Uh, not only a good one, absolutely much needed win last night. Let's put it in perspective.
Absolutely. After the embarrassment against OKC, they came back and put an embarrassment on the Bucks. Beat them by what 34 points.
34. Yep.
Put up 140. Um, Brunson was terrific. KAT was terrific. That's about it, man. They those two guys carried us, man. Would you see in that game? Let me get some
I
stats over here.
I saw that even though he didn't uh, overfill the stat sheets, that Deuce showed his value once again. And when we look back at those games that he missed and the games that we lost when he
Hmm.
didn't play, it shows you how valuable this guy is to the team.
It's like you reading my paperwork over here, man.
Ooh, ooh,
I
man.
mean, let's start there, then, man, because I had it on my sheet. I think there is a direct correlation to Deuce's absence, and you know, out 3 out of 4 games, I think we lost. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was missing.
he missed 5 games. But
Yeah.
you know, I want to say that I think I mentioned this the last time we spoke, but you know, and I'm saying the last time we spoke after the OKC game,
Hmm.
it's just that OKC is just a tenacious team, and even though Bridges plays some pretty good defense, OG plays good defense, like there's just like a when it comes to tenacity, that's a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to play good defense and being a tenacious defensive player are not the same thing. You know what I mean? And Deuce brings a tenacity that really nobody else brings on the entire team.
Yeah, I swear it's like you reading my notes. Because one of the main things that I noticed in his absence is the picking up 94 feet, and he's the only one that does it on the team. And it made me wonder, is that his individual thing, or is that something that is assigned to him? But it has to be his individual defensive, like you said, tenacity that he's picking up as soon as you inbound the ball. And I think that was missing. Putting that ball pressure, even if it's light pressure, you know what I mean? It delays that timeline, it slows that offense down. It makes them not take any time to think or take it easy, because at any second this guy poke his hand out, he's gonna try to rip you. Um and yeah, that's one of the biggest traits I think of Deuce that is missing.
He
But
did
yeah,
it. He
you're
did it
right
in
on point, bro.
college. He did it in college, and he's been doing it since year one when he was, playing one game and then not playing for 10 games. He's like that's been his mo since he's been here. And even when it's in the half court set, though, still it's just a tenacity in how he plays that again nobody else on the team plays with that level of defense. And when you have Brunson needing to go to the bench, and then you don't have someone like Deuce coming in, it's just not the same.
Yeah, for sure. And not saying Deuce we would have won 4 of those games, but I think we could have went 2-2 in those 4 losses, as opposed to having all 4 losses. But yeah, man, I agree 100%. We skipped a step, but yeah, Deuce, just his presence being back, whether he's shooting the ball well or not, his defense makes a difference on the floor, night in and night out.
We know Tibbs
Um,
has said time and time again, you don't have to shoot well to play well.
since we going backwards, let's keep on the bench. I also thought, even though Precious didn't have a great offensive performance, I think he only had He was 2 for 2. He only had 2 shots, 4 points. But I thought his defense was a difference as well, and he's starting to round back into form defensively, and I think that's something we've been missing for a long time. Campaign 18 points. He was hot off the bench. I think he had three threes. Let me see.
Nah, he was 6 for 10 from three.
Six. No, well, I don't know if this is right, but it got at 4 for 7 from three. 6 for 10 from the field. So
Okay.
yeah, 4 for 7 from three. But yeah, he was hot, and we need that from him. Like, it doesn't have to be Deuce. It doesn't have to be can't. But somebody night on any given night off the bench is gonna have to give that type of performance. You agree?
Oh, without without a doubt. I mean, it'd be nice if it was spread across a handful of players, like 10 here, 12 there, 14 there. It'd be nice if it was spread out like that. So this way, you're not really counting on one person, and it also provides some equity in terms of starters being able to maybe sit the bench a little bit more. By one person doing it, that just shows that when Brunson's out, we can feel a little bit more confident with Deuce stepping in. But as I've been saying all along, that's been my one of my areas of least concern, because if KAT needs to be out due to foul trouble or injury, or just needs a day off, like, how do you replace that at this point? So, Deuce is now here in year 4. I've come to expect him to, to do what he's been doing. And Campaign is always capable of these 18-point nights, but we need Precious to become more dependable, and hopefully we see more of the Hulk. I mean, the Hulk was out there. The Hulk was out there last night. Yeah, I mean, he got a little bit more minutes last night. So maybe the fans are starting to get some of their wishes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, as far as the bench, I don't think we really need. I don't know how spread out it could be as far as the points. In one particular game, I think it's just really one guy that has to do it, because if you look at our starters, like, we're probably averaging close to 100 points with our starters alone. Um, I don't know how much more spread out is gonna be with you know what I mean? Like, you probably get one good bench performer on any given night. If you get in 10 from multiple guys off the bench, we're gonna be scoring like 150 150 points a night. So
Well,
I don't know how.
I think we got some games though where between Bridges and OG and Hart, that they're not going to score a lot. Like, Hart's definitely capable of a single digit game, and clearly OG and McCall, while it doesn't happen regularly, they're capable of single digit games too. So I, those are the games where,
Picking up the slack.
yeah,
I
the
agree.
idea where the team could pick up the slack off the bench.
I agree. Pardon me. Let's see who else has some production. I mean, that's really it for the bench. I mean, they did get to play some extended minutes, which is something that I really like from this team. This is probably the third time this year where they got to play about 5 minutes or more. Um, as far as the second and third unit guys, but again, that's when our starters are able to dominate the game and get some rest. Brunson, I mean, 44 points in 29 minutes. He sat extended minutes in the second quarter, which was a great thing to see. This is pre-injury. Pardon me. This is pre-injury, pre going to the locker room. That second quarter, I think he didn't come back in the game till 4 minutes left in the first half. So sat over six. Over 6 minutes, 8 minutes almost in that second quarter. That's great to see. You know what I mean? Like, if we could get those type of production from the second unit and give Brunson his reps, and it doesn't hurt us, I think we golden moving forward. What'd you think about Brunson's performance? I mean, he could have clearly had a historic night Had he not sat so much in that second, had he not went back to the locker room, for which was probably another 8 minutes to be honest. Um, we needed that from him because he's been. I know his numbers say he's having a better year than before, but he's been a little lackluster, I think, overall, and we needed that kind of breakout from him. But what's your thoughts on Brunson last night?
I mean, I'm gonna say it again, and I dare be critical in a 44-point game in 29 minutes, but he's dribbling too much. He's still dribbling too much. I'm already on record. We done been on, and I've said it at least twice, maybe three times to you, Tone, and I'm gonna continue to say it. It's like it's like I don't want to say like there was a period of time where the assists were kind of flourishing, but I feel like outside from that, like maybe 2 week span or so, it's like he's feeling like he has to score the ball, and maybe this was pre McCall's breakout or like during McCall's breakout,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, he's still dribbling the ball too much, man. And I don't know. I've been watching these Jordan tapes, and I watch how infrequently he dribbles the ball. You know, like he's dribbling a couple of times, and he's either passing it or he's taking the shot. Like Brunson he's starting to reach LeBron, Luca, like dribble the ball so much space,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. And I just need us to curb that before it gets any worse.
I thought last night he was great. Um, Particularly, and I don't know how much this is him or Tibbs or what, but he played a lot more off the ball last night or yesterday than in the in the past maybe 10 games or so. And I think that's another part of unlocking Brunson to have these type of performances. To your point, he doesn't have to be dribbling the ball as much. Now it's get the ball, make a decision. You know what I mean? Shoot, pass, whatever it is, as opposed to making all the decisions. And that was one of the standouts for me last night's game or yesterday's game. And I watched it twice. He was off the ball a lot,
I like him
and
off.
and,
I like
and
him
I
off the
love it.
ball.
I love it.
Now, the only issue with that for me is while Giannis is a pretty good defensive player, and considering he's you know pretty old, Brook is still a decent defensive rim protector. But like overall, though, Milwaukee's not really a good defensive team, especially on the perimeter. Dame's, like Matador, he's like the Matador of defense. So you're able to kind of get away with some of the stuff against Detroit that you absolutely could not do against OKC. One of my disappointments of this season is the lack of Macau's like creation with the ball and being able to be a facilitator. For some reason, I came into the season thinking he would kind of like do some Scottie Pippen point forward type of stuff, running the offense a little bit, and Brunson would be able to play off the ball. But unfortunately, that's not happening. Josh Hart kind of does a little bit of it,
Yeah.
and and it's really more in the fast break offense or the secondary break, if you will. But you can't really give it to Hart and say create for somebody on the team in the half court though. You know what I mean? So OG doesn't really do it. The Cal's not doing it. Cat's doing it more than anybody else when you get him kind of in the high post. So Deuce doesn't really do it. Cam doesn't do it. So that's one of my concerns. Really, is that Brunson has to dribble the ball so much because you can't really confidently put the ball in somebody else's hands to create for the rest of the team or create their own shots very confidently.
Yeah. Peace, Queen. Salute.
Salute to both of you.
Um, yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say it seems like Josh is the one handling that role. Like the majority of the time that Brunson is off ball, it's Hart that is having the ball in his hand and creating for the rest of the team. I will say that with a caveat though, because the ball movement overall as a team is also improving, and we've seen spurts throughout the season. So it's not just Josh Hart as a lead facilitator, but as far as that role you're talking about, I think that's what Josh Hart's been doing. The rest of the guys have been moving the ball pretty well. The ball doesn't stick in anyone else's hand. To be honest, KAT's been phenomenal as well. Queen, we just talking about yesterday's game, the bounce back that we needed. We led off with Deuce, believe it or not, his absence, and we both believe it's been a direct correlation to his absence and a rough stretch, losing them 4 games out of 5 without him. But yeah, what's your thoughts on the last game and any credence to Deuce's presence really being a boost defensively and hurting us in his absence? Pardon me, my cat is bugging.
Yeah, I think yesterday's game was much needed, not just for a win. For me, it was more about their mentality. Like I wanted to see like what type of team this is. That OKC game made me really question the mentality of the team, just the energy they came out with, just not being able to fight back or, take a punch, absorb it, and still come back. I mean, you can lose to a team that's better than you, but OKC is not 25 points better than the Knicks, right? So I wanted to see what type of team was going to show up energetically and mentally for that Milwaukee game. And they showed up pretty strong. They showed up pretty strong. So that was good. That was good to see. As far as Deuce, I don't think Deuce would have made it. I think he would have did what he usually does, hit his shots, play good defense, but one person can't do it. Defense, you got to be on the string. And the Knicks weren't flying around like they were in that Milwaukee game versus OKC. You on mute. And so one person flying around is not gonna do it. So I think the result would have still been the same.
All 4 losses. I mean, I wasn't saying we would have won all 4, but I think we could have won 2 of them just because I don't know his presence. Honestly, I noticed it in his absence. I just mentioned that you weren't here. In his absence, just that no one else puts any pressure on the ball full court, and then with especially a guy like Shea, who's the other loss? The Bulls guard. Those guys,
Kobe White.
Kobe White. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not about stopping these guys, but just having that pressure from the moment you know what I mean, you inbound the ball. So there's, you know what I mean, you got to be thinking on your feet at all times, as opposed to it looked like teams was just really walking it up or running it up, whatever, and with no resistance. So that was my only caveat to do.
I think he would have helped. I think he would have been one more person to put on Shea. One more person to put on on Kobe White. I'm not taking anything from him, but the Knicks didn't lose because McBride didn't play. Like he plays 20 minutes a game. That's not why I'm not saying that doesn't make a difference. He brings what he brings. I'm not downplaying that. I just don't think that's the reason. I don't think it would have made much of a difference in my opinion.
Interesting. Thoughts on Brunson's performance before I get back to Shuttle? Just because
I haven't really been feeling Brunson. I really have not been feeling Brunson now. And I said this to start the before we started the season, when we were talking about who was the most pressure on. I said the most pressure is on Brunson. I said it's easy to be the best player on an up and coming team. It's tough to be the best player on a championship contending team. Like you have to play at another level. And I think he's been efficient. You can have bad shooting games. That's not really my concern with Brunson. I have a little concern about his floor game. Just a little concern about his floor game. Like against OKC, he came out gunning. And I'm like, he didn't look, and listen, he did the same thing against Milwaukee, but I felt like we lost 4 out of the last 5. I'm coming out gunning. That like that's it. We gonna get this win, and y'all gonna just have to follow me. So I kind of get that. But OKC with the defense they was putting on him, taking a lot of the shot clock just to get the ball up the court. I'm not saying we would have won that game, but to start the game, I would have liked to see his decision making to be a bit better. So I think he's still learning how to manage a team on this level. OKC, Atlanta might be another team. You see a small on Karl Anthony Towns, that you go to that. First of all, it should be part of the game plan. But even if it's not part of the game plan, you the point guard. Listen, no, everybody stop. Get down here. This is where we're going. So I felt like there wasn't a lot of recognition in OKC in the first game. The second game was better. I don't know. I just think I know Brunson can score. I know he could do that. Can he figure out on every single possession, what does the team need right now on this possession? What do we need? That's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking for.
And if I can add on to that, Steph, like not only does he need to know what play to call and who to set up, but with Macau and OG specifically, there needs to be some level of confidence building that, listen, there's going to be a time, even if it's not all game, there's going to be a time when a lot of times Macau goes to the block and he seems to be better than I thought at scoring on a post up when he recognizes he has a smaller guy on him and he's good at posting up when he has that advantage. Right. Yo, Macau, you got the small guy. We're going to go to Macau now.
Right.
Y'all see it. Yo, Macau, get over there. And Macau needs to know that when that opportunity is going to be there, we're coming to you and we need you to get busy. But it just seems like right before you got on, I said it, some of the stuff you just said. It's like I feel like that Brunson's just looking to score,
right?
And he's dribbling far too much. I want to repeat it. I feel like he's starting to enter the LeBron Luka space of dribblers. He's starting to reach that space, and it's not like it's 2025. We don't play basketball like that anymore.
Right.
I think it's a fine line, though. I agree with you guys 100%, and I do want to ask you, Queen, did you notice last game, Milwaukee game, as much as he was off ball, and how much I think that helps him? Because I don't think I had seen that issue last game per se with him dominating the ball.
I don't remember him playing off ball a lot. That he could have, but I didn't notice him playing off ball a lot.
More than he typically does, but to say a lot would be a stretch. But I also got to ask Steph, that guy said to Tone before you jumped on, it's like Milwaukee's pretty trash on perimeter defense. So, you could get away with Deuce and Campaign and Josh Hart handling the ball more than they typically do because the Bucks defense is not really, it's definitely not OKC's defense.
Right.
It's definitely not Atlanta's defense. Atlanta's got, they've got some good defenders on Atlanta. So, can this work against the upper echelon teams?
I mean, it hasn't. So that's. I mean, to me, that's the most concerning thing about this team. If you want to, I'm not saying we're that close to the Bucks, but us and the Bucks haven't beat the top teams in the league. It just so happens that the Bucks haven't beat us either. You know what I mean? But against the two teams ahead of us in the East, Cavs and Celtics, we haven't won, and OKC now, and who's number 2 in the West?
Might be Houston. No, is it
Houston.
Houston?
It's Houston. We haven't beat them either.
And Memphis is right behind them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Go ahead, Till.
no, I was just saying we haven't beat the elite. We're trying to put ourselves in the same category as those 4 teams, right? Theoretically, you know what I mean? It's a surprise Houston's there, but I mean, we're trying to be in that category, but we haven't beat any of them. It just so happens that we've beaten the guys under us. So that's all I'm saying.
But I think that's about where the Knicks are. The Knicks aren't better than Cleveland, OKC, and Boston. They're not. So there's no shame in losing to those guys. But it's how you lose to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you lose to them. You fighting, you scraping, you playing your best basketball, they playing their best basketball, and they win, then they win. You know? But the Knicks didn't play their best basketball against OKC. You know, so I mean, I think we want the Knicks to be better than what they are. And right now, they just not that. They're not as good as any of those teams. Not right now. Now, by the end of the season,
but that's all right.
by the end of the season, is it possible that they grow and become better? It is definitely possible. But right now, they're not as good as those teams.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying we are better than them, but aspiration wise, yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm not discrediting Cleveland, but what they're doing is a surprise, right? It's not like this is who we expected them to be coming into the year. I agree, we haven't reached our full potential either. You know what I mean? So, but at our full potential, I think we will be, or we should be better than Cleveland. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure about that, Tone, because of the bench. Because of the bench. I think we underestimate, and you can have our starting five is good. So you got that starting five on all five cylinders. You're in a good spot, but they can't go to the bench. You can't rest them for that much against really good teams. You know, so I think we got to do something about that.
I also think the bench is a byproduct of the time spent together. As you know what I mean? Like, so
sometimes that's the case, not all the time.
I think that's helping them now currently. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's why they're peaking the way they are. It's like they had that time together. They've been through their ups and downs as a team together. You know what I mean? Like, so I think all that
about the bench itself, as far as
the bench is, but the bench is part of that, and I think that has hampered us as well with our second unit. Our second unit isn't at peak performance. I'm not saying we have the best second unit out there, but our second unit is still relatively new, right? Like with Shamit just coming back. What's it been, like a month now for Precious, maybe? You know, Deuce in and out. I could mention or not, because we don't even know what's gonna happen with him, but it still hasn't had time to gel this year, as opposed to like multiple years of, you know what I mean, knowing their role and fitting into it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not discrediting Cleveland's bench at all. I'm just saying that experience together has helped them. Same with Boston.
I think it comes down to whether or not you feel the Knicks bench being as paltry as it is because of lack of playing time together or because lack of talent. And I think different Knicks fans are going to have a different answer to that question.
I would say it's a combination. I would say it's a combination of both. I would definitely say it's a combination of both, because part of the lack of success of the bench this year is, is injury. You expected Shamit until right before the season he got injured. Mitch is out and is a significant player that would be getting minutes. Mm-hmm. Precious also injured until maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So I mean, like, these are 3 players that
had in and out too.
Both, yeah. I mean, and these are 3 players that, had they been there from the very beginning of the season, combined with Deuce, and then you also got a new campaign. Shamit is still new. You know, you got new players in the starting lineup, which even though it's not the bench, it still impacts the bench because bench players are playing with some of those starters. So, you know, you got a new player in Bridges, a new player in Towns. The bench has to be familiar with playing with the starters just as much as the rest of the bench. It's not hockey. You don't do a whole shift change. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see the team healthy with you know, from 1 to 12 and see how well the bench does at that point. But you
Eh,
know,
let
But
me
the
just
bench
add.
aren't playing by themselves though.
Yeah, I mean that's what he just kind
Yeah,
of
they're playing
referenced. It's
like 2 or
staggered,
3 with the starters, like 2
but
bench players with the starters. We don't have a bench unit where we put like one time I think I saw it in Milwaukee or maybe OKC, it was 4 bench players and 1 starter. Usually he's mixing them in with the starters.
I think what Shutter was saying, even with that, it's more chemistry. You know what I mean? Because they got to integrate with. For instance, Bridges still being new now, he's adjusting to playing with McBride, who you know what I mean, and Precious. So it's still the same issue. But what I will say is, even if we weren't, uh, even if we started the season healthy, we would have been behind the ball as far as that one particular aspect of the chemistry and everything else, because these guys, Boston, um, Cleveland, they've been together for a multiple of years now.
Yeah.
I got
Either way, it just put us when we started the season hurt like that. I said it's putting us behind the ball twice. You know what I mean? So we have more catching up to do.
if it was
I just want to
if
preface.
it's a 100-yard race, that instead of 10 feet behind, now we're 20 yards behind with those two factors. And I've been saying this in some of the you know, the Knicks fan groups. I'm like, yo, like the cry has been if the Knicks don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals, that Tibbs has to be fired. And I'm like, well, I don't know. That's not really to me realistic. If you have a good enough showing in the semifinals and you lose to Boston or Cleveland, teams that have had this level of cohesiveness and have the quality of players that they have, you gotta get your chemistry with your starters. You know, a key player like Mitch is not playing for half the season. Like, come on, like it's not just that easy.
Right.
It's just not that simple. It is. I say it again and again. It took LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, you know, over a half a season to figure out their chemistry. You know,
Yeah.
and they finished strong, but they weren't even a number one seed with 3 Hall of Famers.
Right.
So you
And
know,
they didn't win to the second year.
right, and I mean
Right.
they made it to the finals, but they didn't win. They didn't win until the second year. So you know, and granted, this is a great team, but it's definitely not Wade, LeBron, and Bosh.
No.
So
No.
so we gotta like temper the expectations to some degree. You know, what I mean, it's one thing to be a fan and to be passionate and want the team to go all the way and to think, you know, Brunson, Towns, yeah, but you still gotta put some respect on Cleveland and Boston, man. Like these guys, especially Boston, man, like these guys have been there now 3-4 years. Some of the bench players.
Right.
I mean, you gotta respect it.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at Pritchard. And his role this year is not what it's been in the past. Like he built up to, you know, what I mean, his role on that team.
Basically, who we are right now is where Boston was 2 years ago. Because
Hmm.
remember we were talking about how
Hmm.
top heavy they were, but they didn't really have a bench and nobody better not get injured. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of similar. And they grew their bench, those same bench players over a few years, over the course of that season and and the next season. But I just want to piggyback off of DJ Sheldon. We talked about this on the pop-up show. You know, a lot of the anger after the OKC game was OKC and how we showed up or didn't show up. But another part of the anger is the Knicks fans have basically been face to face that their expectations was just way too high coming into the season. We're gonna win 60 games. We better than Boston. We hadn't even played one game. We better than Boston. Like teams are built. They're not built on paper. They built through the grind of being able to go through things and forge that bond. So to me, I feel like the Knicks are just 40 games into a multi-year championship run.
Absolutely.
You know, and they haven't even been through like not Cleveland. I mean, you can probably put Cleveland in there too. Milwaukee losing in the second round to Miami after having the best record in the NBA. The Celtics losing in the first or second round after being expected to go. Like these teams went through some things.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks just lost 4 or 5. Like that's nothing when you're talking about what championship teams have to dig themselves out of and kind of, go through. And what if they would have threw in the towel after that, fired the coach, traded Giannis? Now you setting yourself back a few years. You're gonna go through tough times when you become a championship contender. Like it's another level. Forget everything that's happened before this. It's another level when you're trying to build from where the Knicks are now to winning a championship.
I agree 100%. And that's it's like you got to look at grand scheme and you got to look at immediate scheme.
Right.
Like you said, in the grand scheme, that 4-game losing streak or 4 out of 5 games lost is nothing in the grand scheme.
Right.
But at the same time, for this year, for this team, that might have been exactly what we needed, right? It might have been that kind of wake up call in season to kind of set you back on straight, or set you straight back on your path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And typically this team bounces back, and typically the players individually bounce back on this team after games. So it was like a wake up call. You know what I mean? But you need those. Like that's in the immediate. But grand scheme, you get a bigger wake up call when you get knocked out of a playoff seeding that you should have won, or you know what I mean, you top seed and losing the first one. Like all those things are things that build character, or they make it or break you. You know what I mean, depending on how you're built. So yeah, I think we still obviously in great shape, even with that bad stretch. I'm gonna stop saying 4-0 on your show, though. I'll tell you that right now. Because the last time I did, we had that bad stretch as well. That was when we lost 2 in a row. But yeah, anything else, or anything stood out in this Bucks game before we just kind of talk about some rumors?
Nah, kudos to Tibbs. Kudos to Tibbs for letting the bench rock out a little bit more.
Yeah.
They was up 30, and his post traumatic didn't kick in, and he was up 30 and he let him play.
Yeah.
Before the final minute.
Right. And I think for not all of us, but for some of us, that's kind of what we want. Like blowouts, either way, you up 30, you down 30. You also, as a coach, have a feel for your team, whether they got any fight left in them. And sometimes you could feel that we ain't about to turn this around. so let's just, let's just throw in the towel.
And if you're wise, you get that experience for the young guys that don't normally get those minutes. Maybe you have somebody on the bubble in your projected rotation or whatever. All right, let me give him this extra 5 minutes. See what he could show. Now granted, it's not a pressure situation if it's a blowout, but you can still get to see what they got. Anything stood out though in this last win?
The Knicks' defensive intensity was better in that game. I think when you show you can do it in a few games, that means you can do it. And we've seen the Knicks defense be better, but it's just not consistent enough. I don't know if they just really haven't brought in on the defensive team on end. Like we really, really need to dig in defensively every game. I don't think they're there yet.
I don't think this team has it. Brunson is a liability on defense. OG has been pretty good. I found him ironically better rather on bigs than on smaller, shiftier players. And so the whole thing with OG playing power forwards, where I was more concerned about, I'm a little less concerned about that now. Actually, it looks like he's playing bigger versus smaller. But for all Josh's hustle, he's been pretty average on defense to me, and McCall has been disappointing. I feel like he's defending too many ball handlers that Brunson can't stick, and that's not his strong point. Towns can't really block shots that well. People come in the paint, they just shoot right over him pretty easily. And hopefully Mitchell come back, man, and can make a difference. Precious coming along on defense. I like what he's doing, but I mean, other than Deuce, man, I feel like I can't really depend on defense from anybody on this team right now.
But I think Deuce defense is off and on too. If you watch him, I don't think his defense is as good as it's been in years past. I think it's okay. But it's just like a narrative. Once you get that mark, that's just what it is, whether it changes or not. Watch him, his defense is okay.
I do agree. It's been better in the past, that's for sure. So I'm saying all what I said to say, I'm not impressed with the defense, and I don't see top 10 defense in the future for this team for this year.
No. I was hoping for 12, DJ Shutter.
I was hoping for somewhere between 10 and 15, and it's looking like it's probably going to end up between 15 and 20.
And I don't think that's good enough.
Low.
I don't think that's going to be good enough. The last 10 games, they've been 11. The last 10 games, at least going by offensive rating, obviously you got to go through the teams they've played in that 10-game stretch, right? The last 10 games, they're ranked 11 in defensive rating.
Yeah, I'm still encouraged. I feel like from where we started the year to where we are defensively, I think it's a world of improvement. I think I think one of the things that's hampered us is it hasn't been consistent across the board. So it's like OG has his moments, but it won't be the same time Bridges is having his moments.
Right.
Bridges has his moments, but it won't be the same time as OG. KAT, he doesn't defend the rim great, and he's not a deterrent. Like you said, Shuttle. Like there's no fear going up against him or trying to go through him. But that being said, and understanding and recognizing that, he still is a better defender than I actually thought the narrative was for him prior to getting him. So it's like I kind of, you know what I mean? I'm not down on. I expected worse, so maybe that's what it is. So it kind of is what it is with KAT
for rim protection.
Yes,
but you got to keep in mind, like there's different parts of the defense. So there's the rim protection, there's the pick and roll defense, there's the one-on-one defense, there's the help defense. His post defense one-on-one is pretty good. I like him better when he's doubling off the pick and roll as opposed to in drop. I think he does a better job there than in drop. So I just think there's many defensive baskets, so to speak, and he might not be great in the rim protection, but he's okay in the other areas.
I agree.
Unfortunately, though, guys are getting past their man so easily. Rim protection is something that we need more of.
Right.
So
I think we got a better chance with those guys tightening up than we do with Towns, who's historically hasn't been a good rim protector.
So let's cross our fingers for those guys.
I agree, but I'm not too down. Y'all sound like y'all down. We about to be at the halfway point after tonight's game. I mean, I'll just go with the question. Like, I'm encouraged moving forward. It doesn't sound like you guys are that encouraged moving forward. We're about to be at the halfway point. You guys don't think it's gonna get better as
I said, Tone, I think the team falls between 15 and 20. I sent the link in our chat. Currently, they're ranked 17th in the NBA in defense. I think that's who they are. I think if they get 14, 15, 16, that's the cap. No cap intended.
I think they can get between 12 and 14. Um, I think there's more defensive possibility than we've seen. And I also think Brunson's defense is underrated. I'm not saying he's a world beater. That's not what I'm saying. But he fights over screens. He gets skinny over screens. He doesn't die on the screens. And when a guy is dribbling, he moves his feet. And that guy either is picking the ball up and passing it to somebody, or he's stopping the drive and making the guy either pick up the dribble or turn and go in another direction. He does that a lot. Now, if you're going downhill and Brunson is your last line of defense, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. But watch him, because I do that sometimes. I'll be like, you know what? These next 5 possessions, I'm just going to follow Brunson. Like JJ is, and not just JJ, a lot of people, Hart is not a good defender. So I said, you know what? For these next few possessions, I'm just going to follow Josh Hart.
I think he's a great defender.
And he has some lapses. You know what I mean? So I think he is a pretty good defender, but he does have some lapses. So
I don't like him. I don't like him when he helps off ball. I think that's like, I don't like Josh Hart's recovery, but I like his on ball defense. But I'll look out for it. I'll look out for all the tidbits.
Yeah, look at Brunson and look at Hart.
And just as an asterisk, if Mitch can come back healthy to the team, it is actually in shape and not overweight Mitch, maybe the team can get to the 12 to 15 range. But I'm not going to even talk about what I think about Mitch's return, so I'm going to save that for another time.
Okay.
I was going to ask you, have you heard anything on his returns? I'm assuming no.
I haven't heard anything on his return. The only thing I heard was an article by the guy who covers the Knicks for The Athletic. I forget his name right now, saying that it doesn't look like the Knicks are going to get a chance to see Mitchell Robinson before the trade deadline. Like, who's going to trade for someone with a history of injury history, surgery on both ankles, and they haven't seen him play? So
is that the same article that had the proposed trades?
Yes.
Okay, so with Achua as the main trade piece.
Right, because Mitch won't be ready, and that they didn't think the Knicks would trade McBride. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the last thing I was gonna ask you guys before we get out of here. The Nick Richards Achua trade was one of them. Do you remember what the other one was?
I don't remember.
I might have it up.
If that was like a multiplayer, a multiplayer one.
That was.
One was for Burks. There was a separate one for Burks.
Yes. Thank you.
But the first one was a 3-team trade or something like that.
Burks who?
Alec Burks. Listen.
Wait.
Listen.
Knock it off. Whoever did it.
Listen. He makes the exact same salary as Jericho Sims. So if we could get Alec Burks back for Jericho Sims and a second, or you know what I mean? Because now that I'm referencing the article, Miami only has 2 seconds in like the next 8 years or something. You know what I mean? So that second might be valuable to them. And that's a young guy for them to kind of develop. I mean,
Burks is another guard, though. Do we need another guard?
It's not ideal, but doing that, and then Precious and Precious for Richards, I wouldn't mind both of those. Assurance policy. I think Richards is better than Sims and fills that role and position. And then Burks, I mean, say what you will, Shamit's on the team. He's, you know what I mean? He's working his way back.
Right.
But that's just another insurance policy that doesn't hurt you. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt you financially.
Right.
And
I would,
familiar with the Knicks. Pardon me.
I would give Sims up just for the 2 first-round picks. Because what that would allow you to do then is now you could bring in either Okiki or TJ Warren, because it would open up salary cap space. That's one of the reasons we can't bring them, because I'm not sure about Okiki, but TJ Warren right now makes more money than the Knicks have. It would put them
I mean, he would one of them would still be in the mix. Again, we would just have to wait until a little over the halfway point, which we're right about there now. Anyway, so in a few weeks, we could bring one of them in with the money we have.
I ain't feeling Burks though.
No,
he all right.
He's playing sparingly, very sparingly, but his numbers are good. And I don't know. I have an affinity with Burks. I ain't gonna lie, but I think is due. You know what I mean? Like he's shown in the heat of the moment. You can put. You know what I mean? He don't gotta be a rotational guy to come in and perform at the drop of a dime. You know what I mean? On any given moment. So I do like that. True veteran. Tibbs trusts him. So if we're talking about a guy who's able to play on the bench and not playing, like he's gonna jumpstart some of these younger guys that aren't getting the opportunity with Tibbs. So
yeah.
But no, I would do either one. I mean, Sims is kind of behind the. I have no good words for Sims really moving forward, like on the team. I think if we could flip him for something, might as well do it. What's your thoughts on that shuttle and Nick Richards?
Yeah, I'm trying to contain my excitement. I'm not. I like Burke. Yeah, that's definitely, like you made some valid points. And like if I gotta put him or Toppin in the game, sure, I'm gonna put Toppin in. I like if somebody like Hart goes out for an extended period, he's somebody that could, you know, fulfill some of Hart's minutes. All right, so I hear you, Tone, but I guess my aspirations are just for so much more, and yeah, that's not getting me excited.
No knock on Shamit, but we're still waiting for him to kind of round back into form. Burks will come in and give us what we're expecting from Shamit.
Maybe. Because remember, Burks last year, we was expecting that. We didn't get that until the playoffs.
But wasn't he like when we got him, wasn't he like recovering from?
But even when he was, we gave him
We gave him ample
every
opportunity. No doubt. At worst, he would be given the same performance as Shamit now is what I'm saying though.
Listen,
the upgrade of Richards though over Sims, that's a conversation you got my ears up on though.
Yeah. And even it creates another problem because when Mitch comes back, then it's like who are you gonna play? Richards, I think, has another year left on his contract too. Both of them, I think, has another year left on their contract. So that could be awkward in the locker room. That could be, whatever. But as far as the Knicks overall, besides that, I would feel much more comfortable because even when Mitch comes back, he's unreliable. We don't know when he's coming back, and we don't know what he's going to be when he gets back. Yeah, and having Nick Richards there, I would feel really comfortable.
I'm not.
As far as the biggest concern,
I'm not worried about awkwardness because to me, it's what I mean. If you're available, healthy, and good to go, then the pecking order will work itself out. And if you're not, that's a great insurance policy.
Can I say something unpopular?
Absolutely.
I don't think Deuce should be off the table, depending on who that other player is. I'm not saying I would make a lateral move and trade Deuce for somebody like a Caleb Martin or whichever one of those Martins are available. That's not what I'm saying. But if there's a significant upgrade, in my opinion, Deuce has more of a value than Precious or Mitch. Now, you might have to put him together with someone because he doesn't make enough salary. But I don't think, other than the starting five, I don't think there's anybody untouchable, depending on how much of an upgrade it is.
I don't think that's
I
a
got
hot take though. You know what I mean? Like I think that's fair.
Mhm.
The only caveat is, or the only question is, like I think that's a fair statement. But then now we got to see a list. You know what I mean? We got to see
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It would have to
you
be,
know what I mean? Like
it would have to be somebody significant. But I think Deuce is okay. He's okay.
here's what I'll say.
He's okay.
The only exchange that I think meets that one would be Kessler, and then it becomes a question of how do you feel about, you know what I mean?
Are you talking about
Kessler,
one-on-one?
yeah, one-on-one.
I was just
Even
thinking.
even aggregated.
Mhm.
Our best package is probably like aggregated Mitch and Deuce. Now
Mitch and
again,
Deuce, Precious and Deuce, Precious,
you
like
do
however you could do it out of
Precious
those
and Deuce,
three.
I think that gives us what, 10 million,
Yeah,
or
might not
actually a
be.
little under 10 million. So
Yeah,
like even that you can't get, and I'm just throwing a name like the Valachunas, you can't get him because he's at 10. So you
right.
got to do, you know what I mean? Now you got to add another minimal contract. So that's because I've been doing my little research, trying to figure out packages. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But even aggregating with Deuce, I don't know if there's a guy out there that fits that time,
I'm just putting
that
it out theoretically.
that money.
Yeah,
You
I'm just
know what I
putting it
mean?
out theoretically. If we can find some, whether it could be Deuce and Mitch, whoever, I'm just putting it out there. Other than the top five, everybody is on the table, in my opinion.
How
Yeah.
do you feel about Deuce for Kessler?
Well, I got to tell you, right? I don't think straight up that it's a smart idea, but I feel like that you got to upgrade the team. I don't know how much it would take to make it happen, but I was trying to put together a deal with Utah that would include not only Kessler but also include Sexton. So I'm getting some of what I am
Right. Right.
losing with Deuce in the backcourt, and having and I'm essentially replacing his tenacity with Sexton's tenacity, which I feel like is pretty comparable. And Sexton might even be an argument that he's even a bit higher up. And those two come in at 21.3 million. So I'm thinking if you're trying to do a deal, you gotta include Mitch, you've got to include Deuce McBride, and that puts you at 19 million. And if you got to throw in a Jericho Sims in there, that makes it another 21. That makes it 21.3, leaving Utah, and 21.1 leaving the Knicks. So we're talking about $200,000 difference. So maybe you got to throw in a couple of second round picks. Maybe a first from another team. You swap a player to another team. I don't know. Maybe even a first round swap. But I like a deal like that. And yeah, let's make something like that happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one
Or you
works.
could do Precious for Nick Richards, and then and that'll take care of the center, because it I go back and forth between what do we need most, a reliable backup center or a scoring wing. I go back and forth between which one I think the Knicks need.
When you say scoring wing, is there an ideal size, or because again,
If
everybody's
you're gonna be
6'4",
a
right? So
scorer,
it's gotta be
you could be a shooting guard, but you better
okay.
be a shooting guard that can create for yourself and create for others. Um,
I ain't gonna lie. I like your proposal, Shuttle. You sent it to me. What was that, last week?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that does work. Um, Sexton replacing Deuce. Kessler getting in here and kind of
Yeah, and I don't think that Utah is very high on Sexton. I don't think they want to like dump him. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they want to dump him. I don't think they want to give him away. I don't think it's like that. But you know, I think they like George as their point guard of the future and point guard / shooting guard. And they've got Isaiah Collier. They've got still Clarkson. Um, you know, and give him Deuce, somebody that they could pair up maybe with George. Is how I was imagining it. You know,
Luke Skywalker vision said anybody we bring in here better be playing some defense.
well,
it does.
Kessler is one of the top shot blockers over his first 3 seasons in the league. Much higher defensive rating protecting the rim than Mitch, and I think we know that Sexton plays some pretty tough on ball defense, and
and picks up 94 feet.
And he picks up 94 feet. That's what I'm saying. So like I feel like everything that Deuce does, Sexton does just as well, if not better.
And more
I ain't
established.
arguing with you. I'm
And
not
more
arguing with
established.
you at all.
The only question about that is if you have Precious in that trade or no?
Nope.
Okay. Because I'm just trying to think.
Mitch, Deuce, and Sims. Mitch, Deuce, and Sims.
Oh, you have Sims in it. Okay.
Mitch.
Yeah.
Deuce.
Sims.
That actually works because that keeps us under the second apron moving forward next year.
It's $200,000 is the gap. So maybe you can find that $200,000 someplace else. If you got to add a 2-way player or add a third team, send them a second round pick. You know, you got to gang a second round pick. So
yeah, we would need to make it so we're sending out less, but the fact that all those guys that we're sending out are under contract next year, we're not taking on additional. Well, maybe we are because Mitch's salary goes down, so we might not be in that under the second apron.
Yeah, but Kessler makes significantly less.
Is he still on his rookie contract?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Kessler's in.
No, I'm not worried about. I'm talking about Sexton's next year's salary. If his salary goes up next year, that might make us go over the second apron.
Yeah. Somebody said it may work. I don't know if that's going to be enough because Kessler and Sexton, that helps us a lot.
Yeah, we would have to give up all the second round picks we got.
You know, I think Deuce would be an asset for them. Mitch, if he's healthy, Sims, nah. But it works. It works.
It's a reverse asset though. It helps y'all get that draft status you want.
Yeah, you know, I know. I know it's not a bunch of first round picks, but I know Danny Ainge loves picks, so let's give him a couple second rounders.
We do got one pick that might convey. That Detroit pick might convey now the way Detroit is playing.
No, we gave that.
Yeah,
I thought we gave that up with KAT.
We did. It's Washington we have.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I've been thinking about that. Oh yeah, I wish we would.
Nah, low key, I was watching Detroit. I'm like, yo, go Detroit. And then I went back to look at Knicks picks, and I was like, oh yeah, we gave that away. So, so that's, you know, of course Detroit would mature the year that their pick has been given, but
right,
you know.
Speaking of go Detroit, no Detroit because it's go Knicks. We got Detroit tonight.
Let's go.
We'll talk about that on Queen's Court, I'm sure. So
and they've gotten better.
Yes, not a cakewalk
for sure.
Queen, again, I'll see you over there.
Quickly, going back to what we talked about earlier with Cleveland and Boston, the cohesiveness of players being together.
Right. No, that's true.
Cunningham a couple of years.
Right.
Big man a couple of years, who I really wanted on the Knicks that year.
Who's Duran, right?
Duran. I really wanted Duran.
Me, you, and Jarrell.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's like this guy's gonna be so much better than Mitch, man. Like it was so clear, but You know, so it was a whole cap space move to get Brunson, and we are where we are. So yeah, that's the past.
That was the draft party year,
I
right?
think that might have been our last draft party,
It
wasn't it?
was.
That
Uh-huh.
was it.
It
That was
was.
it.
I just got a flashback. That was fun.
Yeah. We got to
Yeah.
figure out some reason to do something like that again.
I mean,
Absolutely.
well, we know every other year it won't be a reason because there's no picks
Right.
for the next 8 years. Every other year there's no need.
I wanted to do summer league so bad. I'm scared to even go out there because I don't know what kind of team we gonna have.
Well,
Right.
if there's no trades this year by the deadline, summer league this year coming back. I mean, you got to imagine all these guys from this year are going to all be playing.
That's true.
Danier, Kolek,
That's true.
and the Hulk.
Might be it might be good to go down there for
And,
some.
and McCullough. Like we coming back
That's
back
true.
with the Fab Four.
Maybe a second round pick or something.
Yeah, we might
deal.
want to think about
All
that.
right. I mean, we got like
Top need to
4
be
or
on
5
that summer
months.
league team too.
Toppin been in the league like what, 4 years now?
He need to be on that summer league team. He needs to be on that summer league team.
I don't think it's been that.
If he's on that team, you know he's gonna have seniority. It's gonna be his team. He gonna be the go-to guy.
Right.
Well, as he should be.
That's how Tiz work. You know what I mean? But Queen, you 6 o'clock?
You joining a shuttle?
No, I gotta hit the streets. I'm going to an event tonight. That actually starts at 6.
All right. Let me know your next event in Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island area.
Yeah. I'm cooking a couple of things up, and I will absolutely keep you posted. Not sure if you guys saw. I dropped my first skit 2 weeks ago.
I did not see that.
You did not see that? All right, cool. I gotta send you the link.
I sent my peoples over there. They should have put all aboard, so you know.
Oh, okay. I did see a couple of those. Yeah. So Tiff, not Tiff, Steph is a skit actress, if you will. Her name is Tiffany. Mm-hmm. She's done a lot of work with a brother by the name of Big Ja, who's pretty famous on YouTube. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and wow. they do their own original content with videos and so forth. You know, nobody's really watching regular TV anymore, so all the TV is on YouTube.
Right.
And yeah, so I came up with an idea for a skit. She said, "Yo, come down and film it with me." And you know, she dropped it on YouTube last week. We had about 11,000 views. So, you know, see your boy getting my Denzel Washington on out there. You heard?
All right, definitely send me the link. I'll send it out to my peoples too. And just so y'all know, I saw DJ Shuttle at Ben. I already knew he was legit because I listened to him on 108. Y'all know my condition.
108 Soul.
108 Soul. But I saw him live at Ben's Crab. I've been back to that place twice since then.
What?
Yeah, I like it. And he killed it. Him and his partner, they killed it that night. So legit.
My guy straight live. Yeah, so man, yeah, y'all see me out there, man. Definitely pull up like the Queen did. You know what I mean? And we vibe out in the real world.
Yeah, for sure.
Big Jaw's top tier content creator with the skits. That's a big fact. So if you know Big Jaw, that means you know Tiff. So and Tiff, she also with y'all probably know Commodore. You may know Mr. Commodore's Queen.
Mm-mm.
She's like, I'm not
familiar.
Yeah, he's from Queens. They do a bunch of different skits, man.
Yeah,
and,
I heard of him.
Yeah, Mr. Commodore is extremely popular, and so yeah, I met at Ghostface album release party and say, "Yo, y'all loved your work. You know, want to see if we could do something one day," and one day happened, and here we are.
There you go,
Kyle Kuzma.
If we could get him, I would not mind, but I don't think we have enough. Even though all the reports out there have been saying like second round picks, I don't know.
What we was going to give up for Kessler and what's in Sexton with that work for Kuzma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kuzma's at 23.5 million, so
you might need a little bit more.
Yeah, you might need a little bit more.
Might need like Mitch Precious and
you might need to include like Larry, Landry Shamet to make that happen.
Hey.
It's like, dude, I just left here, man.
Oh, I hate this place. Oh.
Well, then you know what? Start playing with some fire in your ass and start knocking down some shots.
He came back off the injury, chucking, you know what I mean, looking like he was ready to go. Yeah.
Terrible.
All right, man. Queen, I'll see you over there. I'll be there in
right.
like 3 to 5 minutes. Shout out
All
to the chat. Yo, Black is Time. Shuttle, appreciate you. Replay gang until what did I say? Yo, Black is Time until next time.
There we go.